All right, it's time for newspaper review, and we'll get to it just after this break.
All right, let's welcome Chukwudi Okodigbaja to newspaper review segment. Chukwudi, good morning.
Claire, how are you doing? Good morning. Good to see you. Victor.
Good morning.
Morning.
You look like the morning sun.
Oh, well, we thank God for small mercies, as I always say, one day at a time. Thank you, Victor.
All right, Victor.
All right, let's begin with the leadership. And just above the nameplate, May 29, FG opts for low-key celebration. You can find that on page 16 if you're wondering why. Bandit attacks, Plateau calm, peaceful. That's according to Governor Mutfwang, and that's on page 16. The major headline here reads, hard times for businesses. 21 companies shut down in Kano in 3 years. That story you can find on page 4. It has a rider or two riders. Stakeholders blame epileptic power supply, multiple taxes, counterfeiting. Then we are aware of only 4 companies that moved to Ogun. That's according to Kano State Government. And the sideline here has quite a number of stories. Abba Kyari granted 2-week bail to bury mother. Remember him? That story is on page 16. We're tired of FG's deception. That's according to ASU. And you get details of that on page 17. 17 months after, abducted Zamfara lawmakers' daughters rescued. Page 7. And Jaiz Bank, well, we can do away with that. Let's go to the New Telegraph, which leads with the headline, LG polls mayor coronation of ruling party's candidates. That's according to INEC chair. Can't agree less. Page 4, you can find that. And urges governors to allow CX to operate independently. Says some CX constituted on election eve dissolved thereafter. Interesting. And then the picture story there, which captures the funeral ceremony for late Deputy Chief of Staff to the Governor of Lagos State, Gboyega Akintoye. And then DHQ to Katsina Governor substantiates allegations of troops' involvement in terrorism. Says military has zero tolerance for misconduct. Plateau attack. Soldiers arrived in Zurak community as death toll rises to 56. You can find the story on pages 2 and 5. Minimum wage. Labour shifts ground. Slashes proposal to 500,000 naira. You can get that on page 2 as FG sticks to 54,000 naira. Private sector settles for 57,000 naira. Well, let's leave it at that from the New Telegraph. Claire.
Yes, okay, let's quickly turn to Daily Sun newspaper, and it leads with the story, FG apologizes over hardship. Says policies necessary already yielding results. Details of that story you can find on page 6. And confusion as 17 Cross River Assembly members impeach Speaker. I'm still Speaker, says Ayabem, and that story is on page 6. And Vice President Shatima inaugurates Christian Pilgrims Board on page 26. Federal government to ban smoking money rituals in Nigerian films. It's on page 4. Reps query ministry over $100 million malaria control project. That story again is right on the inside page. Chinese kills female worker in Abia. Youth protests as soldier shoots one. on page 4. And the other story, of course, trending on the front page, which is, of course, a major headline. May 29, government directs ministries, others to observe low-key anniversary. Says tackling insecurity remains top priority. And Rivers earmarks $10 million to revive Songhai Farm. Others, details of that on page 24. And just the last one before bringing Chukwudi Kodigbaja, policeman killed, 5 others injured as traders security agents clash in Jos Market. And that's the outlook of the Daily Sun. Chukwudi Kodigbaja.
Let me quickly look at this one. I just saw it. That's the defense headquarters challenging Katsina governor over alleged aiding of terrorists or maybe terrorism. So the defense headquarters is saying that if the governor had any doubts as to the sincerity of the military in tackling these issues, he should raise it with the military high command. They don't want to join issues with the governor. He reportedly, said what they say he said on Channels Television also. Now, the point I would like to make here is that interdepartmental, cooperation is paramount in some of these things. The governor might not have his troops to aid the regular army in terms of fighting terrorism, but when you carry people along concerning what you are doing, it does go a long way. It boils down to effective communication. How much is it being employed in some of these things? Because I want to think they're all working into the same basket. At the end of the day, the welfare of Nigerian people, the safety of Nigerian people is the end goal for every one of us. So things like this should not be allowed to happen.
I'm sure they didn't get that on the front page. It's on the inside page.
Yeah, it's inside there.
Page.
I like to go to where the people are really concerned.
Okay. Let's quickly run through the main stories on the front page. 2 stories for me. I'd like you to speak to Chukwudi. The issue of federal government banning smoking money rituals in Nigerian films. I'm just wondering what you feel about that. Because since these films are a reflection of what go on in the society, and probably these films are made for corrective purposes.
I think it depends on the message.
On the messaging matters.
Nollywood has become a big, even foreign exchange earner for this country. The films are watched abroad, so you have to be careful what kind of policies you make so that a veritable foreign exchange earner, a source that is, it does not, get subdued. But then social engineering also demands that you pick up some responsibility in terms of what you want to put out there to the public. Some people are so gullible. I can tell you that some of the people who do some of the things they do get really fire their imagination, that is, when they watch some of the films. It's not impossible. Because not everyone is actually very, very solid mentally. Some people are easily influenced.
But then it depends on what the conclusion is. If at the end of the movie, you see that that road, that path, doesn't take you anywhere, that path leads to destruction, I'm not sure that's supposed to be the message.
Somebody credible told me that a Kenyan woman was asked by a Nigerian to marry him. She said, no, I'm not going to that country of rituals. Victor, there are some of the Nollywood films I don't want to watch. But having said that, Chukwudi's preferences should not become general law for everybody. There are things the Chinese don't want you to do. There are things the Japanese don't want you to do. Come to think of it. That's why I keep talking about national orientation. What kind of things do we want to put out there in public? You can't put out just anything. But having said that, government should be careful that the freedom of expression doesn't get suppressed in this process. A 2004 act was actually mentioned. I've not looked at the contents of that act and all that. But the health of society is the responsibility of every one of us, whether you're a parent, whether you're a government, whether you are mentoring somewhere. How the Nigerian child grows up depends on what nurture he gets from the environment.
I think the messaging matters. You know,
Yes.
these films should not glamorize. You know,
Exactly.
Rituals and-
rituals
Yes.
and
Get rich quick,
yes. So maybe an outright ban may not, you know, may not be the
Personally,
Yes.
I wouldn't think of an outright
Outright
ban.
ban.
I would have said Video and Film Censors Board, are you still watching the films to make sure that harmful material does not go out there, rather than, you know, across the board kind of thing.
Okay,
That would not be good, because as Victor hinted, some of the things being shown there are really happening in the Nigerian society.
They're just
But you want to de-emphasize the
mirroring the
negatives.
society.
But they are happening, truly. You hear that girls hang their pants, you know, on the line there. They come, the pants disappear because some people want to go and
undies.
undies.
Yes, please.
I am old school. Pants are pants. You know, undies. I don't know.
And
You're glamorizing.
pants mean a lot of
You're
things
glamorizing
anyway.
nomenclature now.
Pants could mean this.
It's okay.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
old school.
so another-
undies.
Yes.
Undies.
Yes.
Are
Then-
taken
Yes.
for rituals.
The next story again. I don't know if you have.
I
but
have the
sorry,
minimum wage.
No, just
is of,
just a
interest,
moment.
and
Just
should be.
yes,
to
just a
you.
moment. Let's
He's
just look
thinking
at
like that already. 500,000 naira.
yes. Just let us look at this Chinese, you know, killing a female worker in Abia, and the story is that, you know, she was pushed out of a crane by the Chinese, and this will probably be the second reported involving a Chinese.
Claire, you and I have met at many TV stations. I don't think you've worked in 8 the way I did, but we've met at about 2 or 3. At a point we're talking about Lebanese. At a time we're talking about Indians. Now we're talking Chinese people. No national comes from another country to make Nigerians second-class citizens in their country, because they wouldn't let us do it to their people over there. Nigeria has a job to protect its citizens from overzealous employers.
Indeed.
It's very important. I have not taken sides, because if pilfering is involved, if there are things harmful to administration within that company,
Well,
are
killing
involved,
is not.
no, you know,
the consequence.
Okay, we are talking a fatality in this case, so somebody has to go to court to answer to something. But we should not take the license of maybe behaving anyhow because people came in from outside there.
Another,
But please, Nigerians must be protected from people who think they can come to this country and do whatever they like.
You know, you just said something. The suspect here would have to be taken to the court of law.
Oh, he has to.
Competent court of law, and found guilty.
He has to.
Until that is done, this story should have been Chinese allegedly kills, because we don't know.
Are you sure of that?
Because we don't know the circumstance.
No,
He's not been.
You don't know.
No.
The person, the storyteller may know.
No, Chukwudi,
Is Victor.
This report has not said this case has been tried. It has not said this case has been tried. So I think you're quite right.
Claire is talking
Yes.
into our clan.
Yes.
There are actually ways we couch our headlines that tend to make you think that we too are overreaching ourselves. Allegedly, it's a net.
Chukwudi,
You know, for you, safety net.
let's look
when
at
you
it this
couch
way.
headlines. We are talking about fatality in this
Let's
case.
look at it this
You
way.
know?
Eyewitness. Somebody strikes someone else and he dies. If I want to tell you the story, I tell you that he allegedly killed someone.
When you get a story from a source, your reporter has not seen that.
But how do you
it
determine
happened.
that this reporter hasn't seen
You're going to make
that?
it allegedly.
How do you determine that this reporter hasn't seen that?
Well, I don't know how. No, the reporter couldn't have seen the killing.
I don't know
It
what
hardly
angle.
happens that way.
Assumption. Assumption.
Victor, you have a story.
Well, I was talking about the minimum wage.
Yes. And but they are saying that they have stepped down to 500 from 615. That's 115 off, and they feel that's generous enough.
Well, we can manage that.
They
We
are
can
still
manage that.
dialoguing. Let them keep talking. That's all.
We can manage that. Thank you very much, Chukwudi Kolibaja, for your time. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you. I'll look out for that too.
All right. We'll also see you after the break.